Well, welcome everybody to the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Today's special guest is Alan Howe. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me, Zach.
Super excited to have you here. Before I do an awesome intro for you, for those of you who have just joined the podcast for the first time, this is all about sharing successful entrepreneurs and business owners' pivotal moment that broke through their business to the next level of success. So you guys are going to get so many pearls of wisdom. For those of you who don't know Alan, he's based in Australia. He's an amazing entrepreneur, business owner for many, many years now. He specializes in videography for coaches, consultants, and within 2 days of filming, he'll create 6 months of content for you. So if you guys are interested in that, you can find the link to his social media website around here. But without further ado, mate, thank you so much for joining us. And let's dive straight into this. What was your number one or couple of breakthrough moments during your journey so far?
Yeah, for sure. So my biggest one was I had a pretty pivotal moment when I first became a father. So I'm a father of 2 kids. My oldest is Ruby, who's 9. I've got a 7-year-old as well, Oski. And, you know, if I take a couple of steps back prior to that, I had a failed attempt at launching an app, which really taught me, I guess, some of the biggest lessons about marketing, you know, a business, launching, especially if for me it was an app. I spent close to $20,000 getting it up and running and made a total of $14 back. So it was a pretty hard lesson. And then worked out like I could have prototyped the app immediately. Like I could have prototyped the app for, you know, less than $300, gotten it tested, and then gone through the entire phase of, you know, then launching and all the other things. And hindsight's a beautiful thing. So I would like to suggest that my big pivotal moment was sort of that leading into then becoming a dad. And for anyone who's listening who has kids or, you know, you have that moment at some stage. For me, I was still probably like, you know, when Ruby came along, our girl, it was really cool. Like it really, like your life changes as soon as you have kids. But I think there was still a few habits, and I still probably wasn't the dad that I would like to say I was. Still going out and still enjoying my life and all those other things, not really being the supportive father that I really should have been. Within the first 12 months, it really, I think you start to learn quite quickly through a few different lessons and a few different things. I think it really hit home once we had our second. And when we did have our second, I think it's like you're now responsible for 2 human beings. And it was that moment that when our second was born, the day after, I was sitting on a lounge downstairs. Mum was upstairs resting from giving birth the day before. And I had this really euphoric moment where I was looking into his little eyes, and just like, it was almost like seeing this entire future of him, of me, and just this overwhelming feeling of, I just want to be a better person for you. I just want to be a good dad. I just want to give you a life that you deserve. And from that moment, that was my big pivotal moment, my big euphoric moment. And then there's obviously little tiny ones that have happened since that point. From that moment on, I used my graphic design skills to basically work myself out of a job for the next 18 months. I was hoping to do it a lot sooner, but it took me a good 18 months. I was working for a big bank in insurance, and I was just using my graphic design skills to run ads, build landing pages, do different things. And then lo and behold, someone that I pitched 12 months prior in the real estate space came back to me 12 months later after I pitched him and offered me a job in his real estate agency. And that was my ticket out of my full-time job. But the biggest business breakthrough, because that's like a personal life breakthrough really, but my biggest business breakthrough actually happened when I was doing like a consult with a business coach. So she was consulting me, and we're doing like a big evaluation, like we'll call it a whiteboard session. And we're doing a huge evaluation on what's working in the business, what's not. And I was doing a few different things, from running ads. I was doing some video content, like with my graphic design skills, I was creating social media posts and a whole range of other things. During that moment, we sort of identified that video content was the thing that I enjoyed the most. It's I get the most out of people. And then in that moment as well, like we started to dive further into, well, how do we couple this up for like an ideal person? For me, that's a coach or consultant, someone who needs to build a personal brand around video content and also have that consistency on social media. How do I create something? And so it initially started at like the 3 months of video content in a single day. So that's my big pivotal breakthrough. But then I guess what I'm best known for now is our big headline that we create 6 months of video content in 2 days. And that all happened from a prospect who came to me and he said, look, I need to borrow some money. We're starting a brand new business, but we're super passionate. We know what we're capable of, but we want to work with you long term. So we're going to borrow some money. I know that you offer 3 months of video content, but how much will you give it to us if we do 6 months and, do 2 film days over the next 3 months or whatever? And I was like, fuck yes. Like, this is awesome. Like, someone is willing to commit to me long term. And I was like, why don't I just aim for that demographic more often? Like, they're going to get better results by having a longer term vision on it. There's so much more that we can do and achieve, especially if someone's brand new to like talking on camera. The first one, you're sort of getting over all the nerves and all the limiting beliefs. And then you get to start to get into creativity. And there's, again, like everything, like going to a gym for the first time, everything, there's so much that happens over a course of a period of time through repetition and just trying and coming back with ideas and all the other things. So there's like, just from a high level, there's some of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had in my business anyway.
So good. So good. That's really, really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing all them. Let me start from the beginning one, because I'm sure there's so many aha moments or decisions, realizations from each. So you mentioned the failure with your and so what new realization did you learn as a result of having that failure? I guess a lot of the time in the personal development space, or I guess, you've read in books, and for those people that have never kind of jumped into their own business, they go, I'm scared of failure. And then I went to the act. But what was it from that failure that helped you realize to keep going, not to stop?
Now, it's a great question. And the funny thing is that in hindsight now, I've been in business for myself it'll be 6 years in December this year. And the answer to the question is, the people who fear failure is like, the thing is, failure is actually the key to success. And it sounds backwards, but you have to understand, like, there's an old analogy that someone said to me, is that Babe Ruth, like, has the all-time record for the most home runs, but he also has some of the most highest strikeouts at the same time. The thing is, you can't, like in business, you just need to have one good idea, one thing that sticks, using the home run analogy, that will take your business and elevate it to a completely different level. For me, it was distinguishing this offer that makes it so simple and so easy for a coach or a consultant to be able to understand. I know exactly what I get with 6 months worth of video content filmed in 2 days. Now I just need to understand the detail, what types of videos, etc. That was like my big home run. But there was so many other things that I tried and tested, like Facebook ads and doing social media posts and all this other stuff. But that was my big home run. And to come back to your question, I think, the thing is, the more that you can actually look forward to feedback and fear, even with video content, for example, like, the thing is, you're going to learn so much about your own video content through the act of publishing it. You're going to either hate the way you sound, or you're like, oh, I don't actually agree with that anymore. Like, that's a belief that I had 6 months ago. It's actually evolved now. There's going to be things that change and evolve. And the more that you can quicken up that feedback loop, the more that you're actually going to learn. And it's becoming okay with being a failure, because the more that you're comfortable with failing and just realizing that no one's perfect, and anyone who tries to perceive themselves as perfect is full of shit anyway. The thing is, that more you can accept that we are imperfect, like we have flaws, we have fuck ups, we make mistakes, we say things that we're not meant to, we get emotional when it's not meant to be emotional, we take things personally, and that's a big one for me. But none of that, like, at the end of the day, the more that you can just evolve and just use that feedback loop, use those learnings, use those lessons, use that failure into implementing what you need to do and acting on it. That is why millionaires talk about their first million is the hardest, because once they've achieved that first one, it's like, like all of the mind fucks things that they had to get through to get to the first one, it's now so much easier to get the second, third, etc.
100%. It's, yeah, failure is kind of like a course correction. And they say, what is it? Thomas Edison, he failed at the light bulb 10,000 times, but it was that next one that he truly cracked it. So that's definitely a key theme I find amongst entrepreneurs and business owners, is that they've stuffed up, they've failed, they've gone backwards, and they've lost it all. But they use that as reference that it's not in the way, but it's on the way. And so that's awesome that you've got that mindset. Secondly, you mentioned your son and looking into his eyes and seeing the future. And I think that's super inspiring. It made me quite emotional as well. Just kind of thinking about it, I was like, wow, that's such a powerful moment for you. What did that do to you in terms of your character in business? Did that motivate you? Did that inspire you? Did it scare the heck out of you? And then how did you use that to propel you within business? Super curious.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's sort of like a legacy thing. It's like especially when you have kids, it becomes more than you. And not to diss anyone who doesn't have kids or chooses not to have kids and things like that. Like, everyone chooses their own destiny, obviously, in their own journey. But when you have a family and you're not making enough money, or you're not paying the bills, like your hunter-gatherer mode, especially in a man, kicks in, and you fucking get to work and you find a way. And I think, in the most simplest terms, that's the answer to the question. Is there's just an element of someone else's life, or in my case, I've got two little humans, including a wife, who are relying on me to succeed and win. And if I don't, we don't eat. And sounds very primal, but that's what it really comes down to, is just understanding that, you're now working and operating for more than just going out and having a weekend with the boys, or like a big night, or whatever the case is, or being able to buy, I don't know, like a car, or, or save up for a holiday or a snow trip, or whatever the case may be. For now, for me, is now you're now responsible for more human beings than yourself. And that there's a true connection that I probably can't, every father and mother listening can resonate, in the sense of, there is just something inside of us. I don't know if it's chemically or spiritually or just an analogy. Maybe I'm making it up, but there is definitely something inside of you that clicks, especially for mothers as well. But a lot of fathers as well, you have that connection, is holy fuck, I need to get my life in order. So yeah,
for sure. I can imagine. Yeah. I guess for all the single men out there, sometimes it's hard enough taking responsibility for our own life, but then it's one of those things. It's when there's another human that you're guiding, it's like, okay, it's outside of yourself, and you're like, okay, well, I just got to get over my shit and just figure it out. You mentioned as well that you mentioned something about you created a business for yourself that got you out of your 9-to-5.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's effectively the business that I run today. It's just, we were doing more things. So yeah, within that business, I was doing everything from running Facebook ads, building landing pages. I think it was through ClickFunnels at the time. I was super into chatbots, so ManyChat, a whole bunch of nerd stuff. And I was also doing some in the background as well. And so I was very inquisitive, very curious person, more on the side of learning how to make online. And I think, especially you're obviously from the network marketing space as well, you'll be able to relate to, there's so many opportunities. We're in 2024 now, but there's just been the opportunities are evolving so rapidly, that, being actually making a sound salary on YouTube is now a real thing, or, working at brand deals is now a real thing. And it's not just go to university, get a job, get a degree, and then get a proper paying job or whatever. People can make serious coin just following their passion if they can structure it into a way that's obviously adding value to an organization or to other people at the same time.
100%. The world's so different now. I remember reading when I was about 19 or 20, Gary Vee's Crush It. And that
Yeah.
was originally the first time I got to hear, and watching some of his original talks on just find your passion and just monetize it and get it done. Like, and it was just so motivating to hear that. What advice would you have for those that might be in a 9 to 5 right now and they're wanting to create their business? They're wanting to get out of the matrix, so to speak, of their job and break out into creating their own thing.
Yeah, good questions. All right, I've actually thought about this so many times. The simple answer, like in sentence, is you've got to back yourself. And when I say back yourself, like I literally had a conversation with a guy who I knew back from school, and I like hadn't seen him for 20 odd years, and caught up with him and had a chat, and he was sort of like looking at my business and saying, oh wow, like I wish I could go and do something like that. And I was like, there is absolutely nothing stopping you. Like he was talking about going on this retreat in Bali where it's time capsule, and with a whole bunch of other men, and you know, like I said, just fucking do it. Like go pay the money, go sit in there for a month and just like then evaluate what you want to do from there. But like coming back, the advice that I would give is there's two things, right? If I had kids like I did, the thing that I would do differently is I would actually try to go and find someone in the industry that I want to work in, and either find someone who's at the top of their game and try and work under them. And if I can't do that, I had a little bit of a sales background, and I would then go into like either an appointment setter or appointment closer and just learn how to become a business owner, like learn the track, like, and just feed off as much as you possibly can off the business that you're working under, ideally in an industry that you want to go into. And the thing is, you don't need to nail what industry that is. You don't need to know what it looks like. You just need to move out of whatever you're doing. And there are so many opportunities. It is not funny. People just aren't looking for them. The second thing is, like, again, if you have the financial capacity to give yourself a 3-month or a 6-month runway and go and do something like go and put yourself into a time capsule, like the Bali time capsule, like I was sort of talking about earlier, or, you know, like hire a business coach, or, you know, obviously it's important to find someone, work with someone who's got proven results and things like that. But yeah, just go and fucking back yourself. And that's the difference between people who have made it and people who haven't, is they've backed themselves, even coming back, like even when you make failures, back yourself to learn, back yourself to know that I am still just learning what I need to do to make this a reality, or to make this a success. And it's just being okay with failing, being okay with making mistakes, being okay with winning as well. And sometimes it's literally about, holy fuck, this is working. And actually being okay with all the money coming in and all the success actually happening as well. That's another limiting belief to think about, is like, holy fuck, I've now got money. Everyone wants a piece of it. And like what happens there as well as everything else in between.
Pearls of wisdom. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back yourself. Just get it done. Just get out.
Absolutely.
Go for the winners and go for it. Like, when you only live once, there's no dress rehearsal. This is it. You know, go for it. So now you're moving forward to today. You're in a space that's changing with technology, with AI. What predictions do you have for the future, and how do you see maybe AI or technology shifting your industry at all?
Yeah, good question. So obviously, like, there's, you know, for one, I think, you know, AI is so clever in the sense of like you can obviously, there are people with faceless channels and different things that you can do, you know, all those other things with content, which is great. The other thing is obviously the thing that I don't think you can disregard at this stage anyway, and I'm happy to be wrong here. The part that I don't see is going to change is, and that's super valuable to my clients, is the fact that I actually rock up on their doorstep with all my equipment. We capture, like, getting the best out of someone. There's something that you can't, like, you can go and watch some YouTube videos, but it's the same as a personal trainer. Like, it's the same reason why people pay to have their hand held through us, you know, through a film session or whatever the case is. Obviously, all of the editing and all the other things can still be AI'd, and there's different tools and systems and things like that. However, at this very moment, it's still a little bit away. Like, I'm still finding that whilst everyone would assume that it's all about just having flashy clips and having subtitles. There's so much more to it. And it's actually learning how to tell a story through your content and through your messaging. Yeah. And so it's just understanding that there's different pros and cons to everything as well. And for the far majority of businesses that we work with, like at the end of the day, if you're a coach, people are buying your philosophy or your methodology on a certain aspect. And there's like how you communicate that message. You know, you can use AI to write scripts and all these fancy things, but it still comes down to person connecting with another human being. And the more that we can have those human elements, I think, yeah. So I think editing and all that side will consistently evolve. I don't think it's going to take away from people wanting to explore that path. However, I do see it just getting more noisier as time goes on. And so that's the part that I'm interested in, is like right now, I genuinely feel that even posting content like consistently is the entry level. Like it used to be like, now, you know, just post some stuff online that you're passionate about, like you were referring to Gary Vee. That used to be the entry level. It's now the entry level is just posting consistently and then evolving on top of that, like telling effective stories, actually being interesting. Like that is what you need to have cut through. And we live in a very, very noisy world with attention spans reducing as much as possible. And it's capturing someone's attention for long enough to add value and not feel like, and more importantly, not feel like you're just giving them another dopamine hit, you know, for watching your video, because there's lots of cuts and yeah. So there's a few bits and pieces there anyway.
True, 100%. I couldn't agree more with your first point there as well. It's just like the human element of rocking up, being there in person, in flesh, or having that connection. Gosh, when AI can do that, that'll be the scary times. Hopefully it's a long way. If you could go back in time, a couple more questions, we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
Super helpful and super informative for everyone. If you could go back in time, starting your business journey again, what would you change if you could just change one thing?
Good question. My biggest lesson in business is not to take things personally. It's been a huge one. And the thing is, there's so many different elements and so many different little caveats to just that sentence. Don't take business personally, because the thing is, people buy people. And so that feels like a very personal transaction. But the thing is, they're buying your values and the way that you do business rather than you, Alan Howe, or Zach. You know, it's a mind fuck to sort of just articulate. But if I could get the concept of don't take it personally, just know that people like your value. There's a saying that I always say, people don't care about you, they care about how they relate to themselves through your experiences. And that's something that I tell all of our clients, right? Around storytelling, around education, through, you know, what we're doing and all the other things. I wish that I could go back and not only share that from like a personal point of view in business with the relationships, but also in general. That has been by far, and it's still something that constantly evolves. But yeah, it's either that, and then, sorry, I'm just going to add one more. The second one is, I think, especially this year in business, I've got into a place where I've implemented a lot of discipline. I've realized how, like, you know, over a course of a period of time, you start to realize your standards are not up to scratch where they should be. And I think the biggest one in regards to having discipline is your mind. And when I say your mind, about our brains naturally want to think of negative things constantly, naturally, and you actively have to train your mind and put yourself in environments to almost, to a degree, be delusionally positive to make it work, because business is fucking hard. Like, you know that, I know that, and it's not easy. It's a mind fuck. And the more that you can train your brain to be delusionally positive about situations and circumstances, including enjoying when you're getting told to fuck off, or, you know, you in the durance of like a failure, to actively turn your brain and go, this is a positive. That's delusion. But that delusion is the thing that allows you to just receive the lesson and just keep moving. So that's probably the other big thing.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Choose your delusion wisely, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great piece of advice. That's in the trenches, advice. That's not just some cheesy piece of advice. That's like,
No,
you've been there, done that, and I can relate 100%. It's, I love the quote. It's that the only thing that we can guarantee in human behavior is that everyone will do the best they can to achieve their highest values at a high level. And so whether that's your service or someone else's, they're going to go and align based on whatever it is that they're going to, but that's going to bring them the best result based on what they're looking for. So
100%.
yeah. A couple more questions here. I know we're talking about,
all good.
you're the content king now. You're creating 6 months of content in 2 days. You're an artist with your team. So what piece of advice would you have for us getting out there, putting together content, obviously coming to get some work with you, but what advice can we do in the meantime to get the ball rolling?
Yeah. So there's 3 key areas that I like to talk about with people's content. Like if we're talking about organic content, there's 3 main areas that I like to, really focus on with people. The first one is behind the scenes sort of stuff. So literally as we're speaking, I didn't tell you this, but I've literally got a camera set up that way that's recording me, and then I'll obviously get a copy of this recording, and that's sort of like a behind the scenes sort of look of, the day-to-day stuff. Also, like, even as I'm doing my little shoots or like filming with someone, I'll get my iPhone and get some bits and pieces about the setup and look around what's happening. That's the first one. So it gives people a hot BTS look of, what's happening. And if they were to work with you, what does it look like sort of thing as well. That helps to paint that picture. The second part is authority. And authority can come through a number of different things. It can come from being asked to be on a podcast. It can come from being asked to speak on a platform, like a physical platform. It can come from sharing your 2 cents on a video or a topic or whatever the case is, whether you're stitching a video about something that's in your area of expertise or whatever the case is. That's a good example. And then the last one is authenticity. And so this is really, this is where we do our best work, is really educating through storytelling. And when I say storytelling, I'm not talking about, fairy tales and things like that. I'm just talking about experiences that you've had, observations you've made, books that have been helpful, wisdom and quotes that have carried you through. Those stories, if you will, are the things that have brought you to where you are today, have helped build your moral compass, formulate your methodologies and how you work and operate. And they're the things that people want to know about. They want to understand. And so the more that you can share education through those stories or through those references, we have a particular structure that we take our clients through to do that. And then the last one is all around getting attention. So this can be organically, like doing fun, dumb things that can be entertaining. But another professional way that we help to implement is like, what can we do to hook someone in, like on a video sales letter? Because a video sales letter is a really good way of not only generating leads, but also getting people's attention. And what we also find is people who are running ads with good video sales letters and have good quality video content and consistently publishing it often generate followers through ads and things like that as well. So yeah, there's a little bit of a mixture there. They're the 4 key things that we really focus on when it comes to content.
Fantastic. Good reminders for myself, but also, anyone out there, just get your phone out, start doing some content.
Absolutely.
Do a selfie, do a photo, ask someone to take a photo of you. Like, just get out there. And like, if you're in the business world and you're not doing social media, shooting yourself in the foot. Last question here.
If it's okay, Zach, I just want to add on there. Like,
please.
It would make, like, you would think, I'm someone who, I think it's just so important, exactly like you said, grab your phone out, because at the end of the day, someone like us can come and shoot a whole bunch of professional content. And I don't want to take away from that aspect, but at the end of the day, people get very caught up in what everyone else is doing. Like they watch, an Alex Hormozi, a Gary Vee, who has an entire team following him around 24/7 and whatever, and think like, oh, I need this high production value. It's like bullshit. Like just get stuff out there. And as you grow, as you have the resources to invest in things like that, that's when you start to bring in a team, you start to contact people like us and evolve from there as well.
That's a really good piece of advice. Yeah, stop comparing yourself to everyone that you look on.
Yeah.
Gosh. Last question, and then would love you to share who your perfect client is and promote your services and things.
Yep.
If you were to challenge the audience today to do one thing, these are business owners, entrepreneurs, or the future generation, what challenge would you like them to start jumping into today?
Good question. The challenge I'd like to set is and so I'm going to specifically talk to people who are not posting consistent content because they either have limiting beliefs or like very self-conscious is a huge one, but also they don't think they have to share something important or valid. And then when you start to ask them questions, they're like got a whole interesting background or like, there's something that's really critical that like other people can learn from. I'd like to say, what is one thing you can comfortably share with your audience, or uncomfortably for some people, but what's one thing that you can share with your audience that you can teach them? And don't overthink it too much in the degree of this has to be related to my business, because it's important to be talking about the things that relate to your business. Like it's important for me to be talking about video marketing, storytelling, running ads, all those other key critical things that I do, or that we do. But at the same time, good people who really know their client avatar, speaking to the character and the values and the morals of the person, who they know. And what you'll find is that no matter what business you're in, that people, the same reason that you're in the business that you're in is the same reason that people want to know more about who you are as a person. They want to know about an experience. They want to know about a piece of wisdom that you picked up, whether it's from your uncle, whether it's from a school teacher, whether it's from, getting hurt in sports or whatever the case may be. There's something there. There is some sort of wisdom or value that you can offer. So my challenge is, what is that piece of wisdom that you can offer to other people that's something that you've overcome, that you can share with other people.
That's great, because it offers the authenticity piece to come up. Because if someone's teaching something, they've embodied it, or they know about it, and I guess that allows someone to feel more confident. Because if you ask me to teach someone about the ecosystem of the Atlantic Ocean, I'm going to have full anxiety of like, I don't know how to talk about this because I don't know anything about it. But if you were to ask me to talk about creating systems for businesses and creating an amazing sales team, then that's something I could talk about and have confidence with. So that's a great key.
I'll give you a question, Zach. You've obviously got a background in Healy. What do people think that they're buying Healy for, and what are they actually buying it for? What do they want versus what do they need?
Okay, just to give some context, interesting question, just to give some context to everyone at home. Healy is a frequency machine from Germany, and it has the ability to scan the energetic field and pinpoint what's out of balance. And then you connect microcurrent cords and wrist straps to send electricity, subtle microcurrent, to regenerate the cells. I don't work with Healy anymore, just a side note. In terms of to answer your question, why do they buy it? Well, I think most people will buy something because they're in pain. There's a problem. They've got the anxiety or the stress or the pain or the sleep issues or whatever that thing is, or the emotional discomfort, and they'll buy the device specifically for the solution. And really what they're getting on a deeper level is a supportive, like with Healy specifically, is a supportive technology that allows them and their whole family to support themselves with health, not just the problem, but also an array of other things. Like I use it specifically in the morning. I'll go outside, ground, sunrise, maybe do some breathing, meditation, affirmations and things, and I'll do a Healy scan to see what's going on energetically for me. And it's incredible at what it pinpoints, because it focuses on the electrical charge on each of the organs in the body. And based on that, it pinpoints emotions that could be impacting that. So as an entrepreneur, I want to make sure that I'm emotionally grounded in my body so I can perform and connect and create the business that I want. So this device helps me on that level.
On that deeper level. Yeah.
To resolve it so I don't get stuck and I can move through things a lot faster. So I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, like, but even if you focus on like, you know, really, I know that you sort of just skipped over it, but move through things faster. Like people buy it to help their energy or, you know, to ground themselves or get a check-in on their energy, but they're having the awareness to be able to move through that, you know, that's that deeper level. And it's obviously like there's the surface level things like, you know, the I guess the benefits, but there's a deeper level to who a person is because of what, you know, it offers and things like that. And it's really exploring. There's probably more that you can explore, but yeah, it's a really good, quick example.
Yeah, great question. I wasn't expecting that one. Appreciate it. So last question for you. Please let us know, who is your perfect customer, client, and how can you help them?
Yeah, beautiful. So like, I think the biggest thing is we help people to build a personal brand using video content. And so it's typically a coach, consultant, or someone who offers some sort of service. Some of our best clients are metal fabrication businesses, just random clients, but we find something like just find interesting thing about and share and everything else as well. So that's someone who, again, looking to build a personal brand within a business. There can be a number of different things within that, but typically we work with someone who needs ongoing video content, is looking to obviously build authority on their specific industry. The best way to reach out if you're interested is head to like trippleeffect.com.au or even find me on Instagram, Alan Howe, ALANHOWLE on Instagram.
Everyone out there, coaches, consultants, businesses, entrepreneurs, connect with him, find his website and his links to his socials around this video somewhere. And yeah, mate, thank you so much for joining us. Pearls of Wisdom here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.